This video will cover the new Jedi Order books in the Star Wars Extended Universe. The series spans 19 books and continues the saga of the Skywalker and Solo families. There are also two novellas, titled The Apprentice and Elysia, which will not be covered in this video. The stories recounted here are also not canon, as the books were published before Disney acquired Lucasfilms in 2014. Nonetheless, I find this series to be an entertaining, if imperfect, what-if saga for the Star Wars universe. The main story focuses on the following characters: Luke Skywalker and his wife, Mara Jade, who is also a Jedi; Han Solo and Leia Organa Solo, who is Force-sensitive and sometimes wields a lightsaber, but has not been formally trained as a Jedi. Lastly, Han and Leia's three teenage children, the twins Jacen and Jaina Solo, and their younger brother Anakin. All three are trained as Jedi. The main antagonists are the Yuuzhan Vong, an extragalactic race of aliens who invade the Star Wars galaxy. They have a deep cultural hatred of technology and possess living organic weapons and starships. Mysteriously, they also cannot be detected in the Force. The new Jedi Order series is a saga of betrayal and great acts of heroism that leads to a greater understanding of the Force itself. Let's dive in. "21 years after the destruction of the first Death Star, the New Republic maintains a fragile peace across the galaxy, supported by Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order. The Republic faces growing unrest internally and in the Outer Rim territories. Leia Organa Solo, aboard the shuttle Jade Saber, built by Luke Skywalker for his wife Mara Jade, travels to the planets Ramamul and Osarian, accompanied by the Mon Calamari battlecruiser Mediator. Mara, who is mentoring Leia's 16-year-old daughter, Jaina Solo, in the ways of the Force, is seriously ill with a rare molecular disease spreading through the New Republic. Leia's mission is to mediate a conflict between Ramamul and Osarian, which has escalated from a mining dispute to a near war, fueled by Ramamul's leader Nom Anor, who frames it as a fight against Osarian tyranny. As the shuttle approaches, they are pursued by Osarian ships. Jaina skillfully evades them with the help of an X-Wing pilot, later revealed to be the brash Jedi Worth Skidder, whose actions inadvertently complicate Leia's diplomatic efforts. Upon landing, Leia prepares for talks with Nom Anor, a charismatic and manipulative leader who has incited a fierce anti-Jedi, anti-Republic sentiment. Nom Anor, who is revealed to be unaffected by the Force, orchestrates a public execution of droids to stoke further resentment. Meanwhile, Danny Kui, stationed on the scientific outpost Exgol 4 on Belkadan, monitors for wildlife incursions. Among her co-workers is Yeoman Kar, secretly a Yuuzhan Vong warrior on a covert mission. Kar detects a signal from a ship at a predetermined entry point, Vector Prime, into the galaxy. He communicates with Nom Anor using a Villip, revealing their plan to launch a large-scale invasion. Kar sabotages the base's communication systems and releases a plague of beetles to infest Belkadan, preparing for the Yuuzhan Vong's arrival. Jacen Solo, alongside his master Luke Skywalker, participates in a meeting to re-establish the Jedi Council, which faces opposition from the New Republic's Chief of State, Orsk Phalia. Jacen, internally conflicted, surprisingly agrees with the Chief of State, reflecting on the inherent tension between the Jedi and the political leaders of the Republic. He debates with Luke about the nature of Jedi governance, emphasizing personal growth and individual strength in the Force over bureaucratic control in the form of Republic officials or even a Jedi Council. Danny and her team investigate an incoming object presumed to be an asteroid but revealed to be a Yuuzhan Vong world ship made of living Yorick coral. Kar ensures their isolation by sabotaging their communication equipment, leading to the team's entrapment as a toxic storm and the infestation of beetles ravage the planet. The Jade Saber returns to Coruscant, with Mara Jade struggling against her worsening illness. Jacen engages in a philosophical debate with his younger brother Anakin about the use of the Force, advocating for a more serene and truthful approach rather than viewing it as a weapon. Danny's team continues to struggle against the increasingly hostile environment on Belkaden. Yeoman Carr, advancing his mission, sabotages the base further, leaving the team to face a deadly storm unaided. The scientists' attempts to alert the mainland fail, sealing their fate as the Yuuzhan Vong invasion begins in earnest. Danny decides to take a shuttle to investigate the asteroid herself. Her team reaches Helska 4 in the Helska system and is greeted by strange energy readings and a swarm of small meteors. These meteors, which are actually Yuuzhan Vong ships, attack the shuttle. Prefect Dagara introduces himself before the shuttle crashes onto the planet. Danny survives but is captured by the Yuuzhan Vong. The molecular plague on Belkaden devastates the planet. Yeoman Carr kills the last surviving scientists on the base and confirms the planet's transformation is nearly complete. Meanwhile, Nomanor escapes Romamul and hails Dagara, who confirms the Yuuzhan Vong's success on Helska. They plan their next attack on the planet of Cernpadal. The Millennium Falcon reaches Dubrillion, where Jaina, Jason, and Anakin test their piloting skills. The Jedi Kip Duran invites them to join his squadron, and they discover Belkaden's distress signal. On his way to investigate, Kip and his squadron are ambushed by the Yuuzhan Vong ships and retreat to Cernpadal. Han, Chewbacca, and Anakin arrive on Cernpadal and discover the moon is on a collision course with the planet. Amidst the chaos of evacuation, Anakin is forced to abandon Chewie on the ground to save his passengers. Chewbacca sacrifices himself to save the others, leaving Han devastated. They manage to rescue Kip, who is stranded in space, and head back to Dubrillion, planning to defend against the next attack. Han and his friend Lando Calrissian strategize the planet's defense. Anakin is still racked by guilt over Chewie's death, and his siblings try to console him. The Yuuzhan Vong attack and the Solo children join the fight in TIE fighters. The battle is intense, with the children showing exceptional piloting skills. Anakin gets separated in the chaos but manages to survive. Luke and Mara lead an attack on Helska 4, planning to destroy the Yuuzhan Vong base. The battle is fierce, with the Star Destroyer Rejuvenator destroyed. They manage to destabilize the planet. As Helska 4 explodes, the New Republic forces retreat. The scattered Yuuzhan Vong forces are hunted down by the New Republic. Their incursion has failed, but the danger of a large-scale invasion still remains. Mara's illness worsens, and she considers going to Dagobah. Luke and Leia prepare for larger roles in the impending war. Meanwhile, Nomanor continues his mission to sow discord in the Outer Rim. Leia Organa Solo and the scientist Danny Qui visit Borsk Valia, the New Republic Chief of State, to warn of the Yuuzhan Vong invasion and seek aid for the Outer Rim. The Senate, recalling the failed diplomatic meeting of Romamul and the brash actions of Jedi Knight Warskitter, is hesitant to believe Leia's claims of an extragalactic invasion and refuses to send aid. On Yavin 4, Luke Skywalker walks to the new Jedi Temple, planning to propose the creation of a new Jedi Council. The Order, now over 100 knights strong, is divided into two factions. Kip Duran leads a faction with a proactive view of the Jedi's responsibilities, while the other, including Anakin Solo, prefers a more meditative approach. Jason Solo remains distanced from both groups. Luke debriefs the Jedi on the Yuuzhan Vong retreat, noting the enemy cannot be detected in the Force, and they must also contend with a distrustful government. Warskitter and Kip argue that the Jedi should act independently of the New Republic. Luke worries about Kip's aggressive stance, believing it deviates from the Jedi's duty to defend peace. He assigns the Knights various recon missions. Jaina Solo to Commodore to develop Danny Qui's Force abilities. Anakin Solo to Dantooine to assist Mara Jade with her battle against the Yuuzhan Vong disease, and Jason to accompany him to Belkaden to investigate the Yuuzhan Vong's activities there. Meanwhile, Han Solo is still grieving over Chewbacca's death, feeling responsible for abandoning his friend. He seeks the help of Senator Eligos Akla to modify his memory and erase the traumatic event, remaining uninvolved in the war efforts. Jaina and Danny arrive at Leia's office on Agamar, where they are joined by Elagos. They aim to rally the Rim worlds and consolidate resources against the Yuuzhan Vong. The Agamarian Council listens to Danny's speech and agrees to support Leia's fight against the invaders. Leia, Jaina, and Danny then travel to Dubrillion, finding it in ruins and burning from routine Yuuzhan Vong attacks. Jaina is inducted into Rogue Squadron under the command of Gavin Darklighter and is designated Rogue 11. The squadron defends refugee ships fleeing Dubrillion, but suffers heavy losses, and several freighters are destroyed. Meanwhile, the Jedi Knights Corran Horn and Ganner Rhysode arrive on Bimial and detect signs of life but no immediate Yuuzhan Vong presence. They rescue scientists who have discovered a Yuuzhan Vong corpse. The scientists theorize that beetles producing carbon dioxide could heat the planet and foster growths noticed on several slaves. They consider modifying the beetles to attract the native predators, which could be used as a weapon against the Yuuzhan Vong. On Dantooine, Mara Jade mentors Anakin Solo, urging him to appreciate the Force without becoming over-reliant on it. Anakin, who uses the Force frequently as a tool of convenience, learns from Mara to understand his limits without the Force. He kills 2 Yuuzhan Vong warriors harassing the natives, demonstrating his growing abilities. Approaching Belkadan, Jacen is disturbed by the lack of detectable evil, despite the Yuuzhan Vong's obviously malicious plans. He and Luke find the planet's ecology seemingly restored, but discover bioengineered plants being used to build coral skippers, which are Yuuzhan Vong ships, and a village of slaves bearing strange growths. Jacen's desire to rescue the slaves is overruled by Luke's focus on gathering information. Later, driven by a vision from the Force, Jacen confronts a Yuuzhan Vong warrior and is captured. Luke rescues him and they flee to Dantooine. Leia and the refugees arrive at Dantooine, preparing for another potential Yuuzhan Vong attack. Anakin and Mara, pursued by the Yuuzhan Vong warriors, are saved by Luke and Jacen. The Jedi plan a defense with the refugee fleet. Jacen reflects on his experiences, realizing the Jedi's duty extends beyond internal Force mastery. On Bimial, Corran and Ganner have rescued several captured scientists but face Yuuzhan Vong forces in overwhelming numbers. Corran fights them off, is severely wounded but is saved by Ganner. Yuuzhan Vong infiltrate the camp on Dantooine disguised as refugees. Leia and Mara join the defense of the camp, while Luke prepares for a ground battle, joined by Jacen and Anakin. Jaina and Rogue Squadron engage the Yuuzhan Vong cruiser. Despite heavy casualties, the New Republic forces drive the Yuuzhan Vong back, allowing a withdrawal from Dantooine. The New Republic government finally acknowledges the seriousness of the Yuuzhan Vong threat after the attacks on Dubrillion and Dantooine. On Bimial, Yuuzhan Vong commander Shadao Shai, enraged by the deaths of his warriors and the theft of relics and his grandfather's remains, swears vengeance against the Jedi. Yuuzhan Vong commander Shadao Shai orbits Dubrillion in the living ship Legacy of Torment. It is revealed the Yuuzhan Vong had located the galaxy 50 years ago and believe it to be the answer to their Supreme Overlord's prophecy. Additionally, Nomenor's attack was premature and represents a schism between the warrior and intendant case. Shadao Shai represents the very ideals the Yuuzhan Vong pride themselves in. Pain was not to be rejected, but embraced. To reject pain was to deny the very nature of the universe. Luke Skywalker watches a recovering Mara Jade and Corran Horn spar. Kip Duran joins them. He retains his prominent influence in his faction of the divided Jedi Knights. Luke worries they may be overconfident in light of the Republic's recent successes in battle, and that the Yuuzhan Vong are still underestimated by the Jedi who follow Kip. The Republic now faces the issue of gathering intelligence on countless planets in preparation for more attacks, but with less than 100 Jedi Knights available. Meanwhile, Leia stares at a map marking the New Republic and Imperial Remnant worlds, as well as those currently under control by the Yuuzhan Vong. Several state councilors, including Wedge and Tilly's, help her pore over intelligence reports. The New Republic has deduced the network of transit routes that exist between the conquered worlds. They hope to be able to predict what worlds will be attacked next and plan on attacking the Yuuzhan Vong as they move from space to planet surfaces. The Chief of State, Borsk Valia, also states the New Republic should be seen as a separate entity from the Jedi. For all intents and purposes, the missions the Jedi carry out now will be entirely independent and will not have access to Republic support. The Senator Eligos Akla volunteers to travel to Dubrillion to attempt to parley with the Yuuzhan Vong and discern their goals. Luke summons another meeting of the Jedi Knights and affirms his belief the image of the Jedi must be corrected to inspire hope instead of aggression. A Twi'lek Jedi named Deshara Kor openly declares him to be wrong. She believes the martial prowess of the Jedi should be recognized as a strength and is an important tradition in the Order. Kip's faction, spearheaded by Kip and Ganner Rysode, disapproves of the Jedi's passiveness and chafes at their new role as protectors of refugees instead of fighting on the front lines. Corran Horn is assigned a new mission. He will lead a team to the planet of Garki to organize a resistance against the Yuuzhan Vong. He will also be accompanied by Ganner and Jason Solo. Leia travels to Bastion, a planet of the Imperial Remnant with Danny Kui. Her goal is to convince the Remnant of the threat posed by the Yuuzhan Vong. She meets with Grand Admiral Palaeon. He agrees to review her reports and promises aid if the Remnant is able to help. Meanwhile, Anakin alerts Luke that a Jedi has filed data requests for multiple superweapons. Mara suspects Octo Ramis, who is also close associates with Deshara Kor, who has been assigned to Bimasari. Coincidentally, her ship exited hyperspace early, and the rescue manifest listed no Twi'lek passengers on board. Shadao Shai and his subordinate Dane Lian walk the streets of Dubrillion. He is visited by Senator Eligos Akla. He puts Eligos in the embrace of pain and suggests to Dane that they begin to study the New Republic starships to learn more about their enemy. Corran, Jason, and Ganner land on Garki, escorted by Jaina and Rogue Squadron fighters. Luke, Mara, and Anakin travel to Vortex, accompanied by a seedy informant named Chalko. They must track Deshara Kor's steps to find out what she learned. Luke and Mara figure out there may be a second eye of Palpatine. Their journey continues to the planet of Garros IV, where many secret Imperial files secured by the Republic had escaped destruction. Anakin is left on the ship with Chalko, and they decide to expand the search area and investigate the spaceport for signs of Deshara Kor. In a cantina, Anakin catches sight of her and begins the chase. Deshara Kor doubles back and subdues him. Chalko attempts to rescue Anakin but is also captured by her. Anakin is able to use the Force to hurl a blaster from the ground to knock her out. Corran, Ganner, and Jason meet a local named Raid, who claims the Yuuzhan Vong are using the planet Garki to grow an army. He shows the Jedi a ruined university, where they see ranks of men and women, all with coral growths, but different to those that have been seen on slaves. They seem to be growing carapaces of white ivory. Corran plans to kidnap some of the transformed humans during one of the Yuuzhan Vong's war games. Jason, meanwhile, continues to wrestle with his philosophical understanding of the Jedi's roles in the galaxy. He chafes at the notion of being confined to being only a warrior, or even a philosopher or teacher. The war games commence, and Jason and Ganner, along with Nobari commandos and local resistance members, confront a group of slave soldiers who serve the Yuuzhan Vong. Then, a Yuuzhan Vong warrior screeches a command, and the humans fighting in the games also turn to attack the resistance members. Corran deals a Yuuzhan Vong warrior to the side as Jason subdues the attacking humans, refraining from killing them. Amidst the chaos, they are able to secure 2 thralls, the humans subject to coral groves. Corran's team flees to a Bafor Grove, towering trees native to the planet Ithor. Several Yuuzhan Vong warriors confront the Jedi, and another fight breaks out amidst the falling pollen of the trees. Ganner suffers a grievous face wound, an experience that humbles the overconfident Jedi Knight. To their surprise, the Vondun crab armor donned by the Yuuzhan Vong begins to swell. The living biological armor seems to have an allergic reaction to the Ithorian pollen. Corran gives the order to burn the grove to prevent the Yuuzhan Vong from learning of this weapon against their armor. Jason and Corrin attempt to rendezvous with a Bothan assault cruiser, but find themselves pursued by several Yuuzhan Vong ships. Among the enemy is Dane Lian, on Garki's surface under orders from Shadao Shai. He sees an opportunity for his political rise in the event of a great victory, which would allow him to supplant the commander. On the surface, he and Shadao Shai walk in the burned grove with Elegos. They learn the senator is a friend of Corrin Horn, the hated Jedi who killed Shai's kin at Bimiel and stole his grandfather's remains. The Yuuzhan Vong commander decides to send the Jedi a message. Corrin and Luke Skywalker meet with Admirals Palaeon and Crefe. They all plan to chart a course for Ithor, but the two militaries are prepared to meet political resistance from both sides in light of the Remnant and Jedi forces uniting. However, the focus is now centered on defending the Bafor trees that produce the anti-Yuuzhan Vong pollen. The Jedi also anticipate that the local Ithorians, which regard the trees as sacred, will be hesitant to use the pollen as a weapon. The cultural restrictions of the planet also limit the flexibility of its defenses on the ground. However, to defend Ithor, forces would have to be pulled from Agamor. If that planet becomes vulnerable to attack and falls, the Republic and Remnant would lose a key hyperspace route between the two entities. Preparations begin on a floating city above the planet. The Chiss Expansionary Defense Force joins the Remnant and Republic militaries. Jaina leads their leader, Colonel Jagged Fell. He has rocky relations with Borsk Valia, who accuses him of being a human supremacist. Also on Ithor is the captured Deshara Kor. Before descending to the surface, as part of a ceremony, Jason makes a ritualistic declaration. I renounce the need to know, now, what I will become later. In looking to the future, I have ignored the present and my role in it. The present is too critical for me to do that anymore. Anakin similarly renounces self-assuredness. I want so much to be right, to do the right thing that I don't look to see if another answer would be a better answer. Judging yourself right is a destination. I'm just on a journey. Surprising everyone, Luke also renounces leadership over the Jedi. Meanwhile, Shadao Shai and Dane Lian learn of their armor's natural weakness to the Bafor pollen. Against Lian's advice, Shai plans to launch a full military campaign with his warriors instead of using a biological weapon. It is revealed Lian has been in contact with an unknown war master, seeking to pit the two commanders against each other for his own gain. The attack is planned to take place in 1 month. Shadao Shai's message finally arrives to the Jedi. He has killed Elegos and sent his skeleton adorned with gold to Corrin himself. Corrin makes an oath of vengeance. The battle for Ithor breaks out. Deshara Kor redeems herself, saving Anakin at the cost of being poisoned and mortally wounded. As she dies, she becomes one with the Force. Corrin uses a Villip to contact Shadao Shai and challenges him to a duel for control of Ithor. The Jedi Knight, with Luke and Dane Lian as witnesses, kills Shai. Lian returns to the ship Legacy of Torment and launches 12 pods around the planet instead of retreating per the agreement. The pods unleash a fine cloud of droplets over Ithor that acidify and poison every living creature on the planet. Lian's master is revealed to be War Master Savong La. Before Lian can escape, however, the Admirals Palaeon and Crefe deduce what he has done and attack the Legacy of Torment. The ship is destroyed, but the Remnant and New Republic cannot save Ithor. The Republic has been dealt a devastating blow. The Jedi, and particularly Corrin, are vilified for seemingly allowing Ithor to be destroyed. Corrin offers to become the scapegoat and imposes self-banishment to Corellia. Jason disapproves of Corrin giving in to the political machinations of the state. Ganner, sympathetic to Corrin's plight, thanks him for being an example of a worthy Jedi to follow. The war worsens for the New Republic. 30 planetary systems have fallen, including the destructions of Helskafor, Cernfindal, and Ithor. The Yuuzhan Vong have conquered the library planet of Abroa Sky and are now poised to strike at Coruscant itself. Additionally, the invaders decide now is the time to strike at the Jedi and eliminate their greatest threat to control over the galaxy. The Yuuzhan Vong are unable to find any meaningful information regarding the Jedi on Abroa Sky. Priestess Elan and her aide Vergir are summoned and informed of Mara Jade's resistance to the Yuuzhan Vong plague. Elan and Vergir are ordered to infiltrate the Jedi by pretending to be defectors. They will unleash a lethal biotoxin in an attempt to kill as many Jedi as possible, and potentially themselves. On the planet of Kashyyyk, a funeral service is held for the late Chewbacca, some 6 months after his death on Cernpedal. Han Solo still feels the loss of his best friend deeply and ponders the future. He begins to emotionally isolate himself from Luke and his family, and decides to not accompany them on the Millennium Falcon back to Coruscant. Elsewhere, the ship Soothfast battles a Yuuzhan Vong ship over the planet Wayland, seemingly destroying it. Priestess Elan and Vergir are brought on board after ejecting in an escape pod. Han arrives on Coruscant, struggling while reliving his many memories on the Millennium Falcon. He runs into Roa, an old friend of his. Roa tells Han that Rek Desh, an acquaintance of theirs, has started to work for the Yuuzhan Vong. Rek is part of the Peace Brigade, a group that is stirring anti-Jedi sentiment. Han agrees to pursue him, and Anakin gives him a multi-purpose tool as he leaves. New Republic officials estimate the Yuuzhan Vong now number 1,000 capital ships. Their firepower surpasses current turbo laser and ion cannon capabilities. Their Dovin basals are able to function as gravitational anomalies and shields, as well as their ship's hyperspace drives. It is believed with the recent fall of Abroa Sky, the Yuuzhan Vong will begin a push into the mid-rim. All the speculation, however, continues to illustrate the New Republic's dire need for concrete intelligence on the Yuuzhan Vong's directives and battle plans. They then learn of the Soothfast's 2 Yuuzhan Vong prisoners who have requested political asylum. Elan continues to press for refuge, claiming she has information about the disease plaguing the galaxy in Mara. According to the priestess, it is not a disease that afflicts Mara, but instead her reaction to Coum spores. The outpost she and Vergir are held in is attacked by coral skippers. Unbeknownst to the New Republic agents, the attacks are ploys orchestrated by the Yuuzhan Vong to convince them of Elan's supposed defection. Elan and Vergir are relocated to Merkur, and the Jedi are notified of their defection from the Yuuzhan Vong. It is planned to eventually move them to Coruscant. Supposedly, the next target of attack is the planet of Ord Mantell. Unfortunately, that is exactly where Han Solo and Roa are traveling. Han and Roa arrive at Ord Mantell and begin to search for Rek. Han is introduced to Phasco, one of Roa's informants, who tells them the mysterious Boss B can give them more information. Then, Bosk, a bounty hunter from Han's smuggling days, sees the 3 men. A brawl breaks out, and they are all imprisoned but soon released, apparently on orders from Boss B. The boss is revealed to be a former associate of Han, who wanted to repay a favor for killing Jabba the Hutt. Alarms suddenly blare. The Yuuzhan Vong attack has begun. The New Republic and Yuuzhan Vong ships exchange fire around Ord Mantell. It is a frantic, chaotic battle. Han, Roa, and Phasco try to make it back to Roa's ship. The bulkhead is ripped away, and Roa and Phasco are sucked away from Han and into a Yuuzhan Vong machine designed to take captives. Another alien, from the Rin species, grabs Han's legs to avoid being sucked in. Han and the Rin, named Droma, are able to make it to the ship and into local space. Han decides to fly to Ord Mantell directly. The Yuuzhan Vong ships begin to withdraw. Han and Droma meet up with C-3PO, who takes Han to Leia. He remains set on trying to rescue his friends. At a bar later, Han learns from Boss B's lieutenant that Rek Desh and the Peace Brigade have a large operation planned in the Bilbringi system. Han sneaks away from Leia and boards the Queen of Empire. He encounters Droma again on the ship and learns the Rin are discriminated across the galaxy and were expelled from their home world in the core. Meanwhile, Elan and Vergir begin their evacuation journey to Coruscant. Their ship also happens to be the Queen of Empire. Luke debriefs the Jedi on Elan and Vergir's defections, saying that they will meet with the Yuuzhan Vong once they arrive on Coruscant. Meanwhile, Nominor learns the Peace Brigade is threatening to disrupt their plans with Elan and Vergir. They have been tipped off by a high-ranking New Republic official doubling as a spy for the Yuuzhan Vong. The spy unfortunately believed the defection to be real, and has given orders to recapture Alon and Vergeer. On the Queen of Empire, Han and Joma run into the intelligence operative escorting the two Yuuzhan Vong defectors. Then, the ship comes under attack from unknown raiders, sending the passengers into chaos. Han figures out the Peace Brigade and the Yuuzhan Vong are both attacking the ship, and moves his company towards finding a ship for escape. Meanwhile, Rek learns that the Yuuzhan Vong and New Republic ship are en route, jeopardizing his entire mission. Han and Joma track Rek, but are captured by a raider and taken to Rek himself. Alon and Vergeer are also prisoners of him. The Peace Brigade hails the Yuuzhan Vong for aid but receives no response. Han and Joma manage to escape and pursue Rek and recapture Alon and Vergeer. They are able to board Rek's shuttle, but Han finds the Peace Brigade raiders and Rek dead, drenched in blood. Black husks litter the floor, and Alon and Vergeer are unharmed. Han learns of the biotoxin and loads them back onto the Falcon as the Yuuzhan Vong frigate opens fire on the shuttle. Han notes the Yuuzhan Vong are uncharacteristically inaccurate in shooting them down, and becomes more suspicious of Alon and Vergeer. Alon insists on being taken back to the Queen of Empire so they can meet with Luke, while Vergeer seems to recognize the name Skywalker. Han calls Alon's bluff, and the double agent releases the bioweapon to kill Han. However, he is able to use Anakin's tool as a breathing mechanism, while Alon is unable to open the hatch to escape and dies to the toxin. Vergeer manages to flee in his escape pod, but gives Han a bulb of her tears before leaving, telling him to give it to the Jedi. The New Republic arrives and drives back the Yuuzhan Vong from Ord Mantell. Vergeer's tears are used to treat Mara, whose condition finally grows better. Han reunites with Leia and finally apologizes and opens up to Anakin again. He decides to find Roa and reunite Joma with his people. Leia is helping coordinate the refugee crisis created by the Yuuzhan Vong War. She is currently on Gindine, one of the several planets in the Mid-Rim used as an evacuation point. The capital city is overrun, and Leia is forced to flee the planet. She still has had no contact from Han and Joma since the two left to find more of Joma's people. The Jedi Worth Skidder, meanwhile, refuses to join the evacuation and remains on Gindine. He infiltrates a group of Yuuzhan Vong captives, disguising himself as a normal civilian. The fall of Gindine is yet another setback for the New Republic. It cannot afford to spread its defenses across the rim so thinly, but risks appearing only being interested in protecting the core. As a result, some threatened worlds have begun to refuse to harbor the New Republic to avoid war with the Yuuzhan Vong. The Hutts, however, seem to have struck a deal with the invaders to avoid conflict. On the side, they still agree to provide information to the New Republic, seeking to play both sides of the war. However, the New Republic is rapidly losing access to hyperspace routes, and believes the Hapes Consortium, a civilization of near-humans in the Inner Rim, could become a valuable ally. Leia Organa Solo will be sent to negotiate with the Hapan Queen. Republic commanders additionally plot to lure the Yuuzhan Vong to Corellia. There, they will use Centerpoint Station, a super weapon that can capture and transport planets. Although currently shut down, hundreds of scientists are working on restoring the weapon so the New Republic can deliver a devastating strike against the Yuuzhan Vong fleet. Anakin Solo is sent to the planet to help enable the weapon, which can only be activated with his biometrics. Worf Skidder has been successfully detained by a Yuuzhan Vong vessel. It is revealed that two of his fellow captives are Roa and Vasco, acquaintances of Han, separated from him above Ord Mantell. Within the nucleus of the ship is also a maturing Yamosk, a Yuuzhan Vong war coordinator. Worf and fellow captives are enlisted in helping cultivate the growing Yamosk, even forming telepathic bonds with the creature. Meanwhile, Yavin 4, home of the new Jedi Temple, remains hidden from the Yuuzhan Vong due to a Force illusion projected by Luke Skywalker. His wife Mara Jade continues to recover from her illness thanks to Vergeer's tears. Jason Solo is vehemently opposed to Anakin traveling to Corellia, stating it is wrong to operate such a weapon out of aggression. He decides to accompany Anakin to Centerpoint Station. It is believed the next Yuuzhan Vong attack will happen in the Tena, Bothawui, or Corellia systems because of their deal with the Hutts. The spice trade has slowed in these sectors, and the Jedi must investigate if this trend signifies an imminent attack by the Yuuzhan Vong. Leia meets with Happen representatives, including Princess Solder and Queen Mother Teneniel Jo of Dathomir. Their daughter, Tenel Ka, is also a Jedi and joins them. Many influential parties are hesitant to trust the New Republic, preferring to stay neutral until the Yuuzhan Vong show their hand. Despite this, Princess Solder and Queen Teneniel agree to help Leia. The Yamosk vessel with Worth, Roa, and Vasco orbits around the planet of Ando. Joma and Han set a course for the planet Ruon in hopes of finding Joma's family there. Worth reveals his identity as a Jedi to Roa and Vasco and tells them to plan for a mutiny. However, during another session with the Yamosk, the creature sees through Worth's plans and lashes out with its tentacles, mortally wounding Vasco. The Yuuzhan Vong commander also learns Worth is a Jedi. The Yuuzhan Vong take the planet of Tana, which will be used as a staging area for invading the Corellian and Bothan sectors. The invaders, however, know the New Republic conceded the planet on purpose to disguise the Hutt's duplicity in their deal with the Yuuzhan Vong. It is revealed that Senator Vicky Shesh is a spy for the Yuuzhan Vong, and she has tipped them off about the weapon in Corellia as well. The New Republic believes Botha Wui will be the next target of attack and decides to consolidate its forces there. The Happen Consortium narrowly votes in favor of supporting Leia, but she suddenly has a force vision of thousands dead, floating amongst destroyed warships. Meanwhile, Han and Joma discover most, but not all, of Joma's family are living somewhere on Ruon. Unfortunately, they are also all about to be deported for allegedly forging travel vouchers, and Joma is also arrested. Han is able to free his friend, and along the way they shut down an operation to destroy a large group of droids, a move intended to appease the Yuuzhan Vong. Ganner, Rysode, and Kip Duran learn of a Yuuzhan Vong ship carrying a Jedi, believed to be Worth, to Kalarba. There is also a war coordinator aboard. They decide to rescue him before Worth is transferred to a different ship. Anakin and Jason, still at philosophical odds, arrive at Centerpoint Station. They meet Thraken Sal Solo, Han's first cousin, who also has a rocky relationship with the Solo family in general. He blames Anakin, who was responsible for shutting Centerpoint Station down years ago, for ruining Corellia's chances at independence. Anakin is able to gain control over the superweapon and reactivate it. Princess Solder and Leia set sail with a combined navy of the Consortium and New Republic. They set a course for Corellia, with Leia believing the next Yuuzhan Vong attack to be imminent. She is shocked to learn of Centerpoint Station's activation, which puts a new layer of risk to the battle. In a surprise move, the Yuuzhan Vong do not attack Corellia or Botha Wui, but the shipyard world of Fondor. Advanced elements of the attack force arrive at the same time as Worth's ship in order to protect the growing Yamosk. The Happen fleet changes course to face the Yuuzhan Vong head-on. In Corellia, Anakin and Jason are shocked to see the Yuuzhan Vong sneak attack. Thraken urges for a decisive strike using Centerpoint against Fondor's 5th and 6th moons. A direct hit is not guaranteed, however, and Jason tells Anakin to step away from the controls. Anakin listens, but Thraken surges forward to take the shot himself. Kip and Ganner free the captives and find Worth Skitter, wounded and pinned to the floor by several crab-like creatures. They are too late, and their friend dies in front of them. The Yuuzhan Vong ship begins to self-destruct. Meanwhile, Han reunites Joma with his family, who were stranded on a refugee ship on Fondor. The Happen fleet falls upon the Yuuzhan Vong, but a flash of energy lights up the space around them. It annihilates the Yuuzhan Vong and most of the Happen ships, an incredibly devastating blow. Leia's force vision is fulfilled. 3/4 of the Happen fleet is destroyed, and the Yuuzhan Vong lose 1/2 of their ships. The growing Yamosk was killed, and the Hutts are now openly siding with the New Republic. The New Republic is badly shaken and galvanized into a new state of fear, while Princess Solder faces disgrace. Thraken Sal Solo is now seen as a hero of Corellia, to the disgust of Jason and Anakin. The New Republic continues to lose ground to the Yuuzhan Vong in the Mid-Rim worlds. Jaina Solo is now a lieutenant in Rogue Squadron. During a skirmish with the Yuuzhan Vong, her astromech droid Sparky is destroyed, and she is forced to eject from her fighter. Jacen, Solo, and Han are on the refugee planet of Duro. The young Jedi has watched his father become a sponsor of sorts for the Rin, alongside his friend Droma. All of a sudden, he is struck by a vision from the Force. Jacen realizes that Jaina has been hurt somewhere. He also sees Luke Skywalker battling a Yuuzhan Vong warrior standing on the galaxy, represented by a large disc. Jacen watches several dark warriors advance to Luke, who tosses Jacen his lightsaber. Jacen misses, and the two battling parties swell to enormous, terrifying sizes, with Luke telling Jacen to stand firm. Although he tries to help, Jacen slips and watches the galaxy slide into darkness right as he wakes up. Jacen is still conflicted about the Jedi's role in the war, worrying they are only empowering evil by fighting it, and the line between light and dark is becoming blurrier. He decides to begin suppressing his Force usage and abilities. Han and Jacen learn Jaina was injured in battle and evacuated, but cannot get in contact with Leia. Coincidentally, Leia is also on Duro, attempting to manage the growing refugee crisis. Jacen learns Jaina's vision has been damaged and has been sent to Duro to recover. Yuuzhan Vong War Master Savong La contacts Nom Anor, who is currently donning an alien disguise and overseeing a mysterious new project. He plans to finally strike at the galactic core in Coruscant itself. Mara Jade listens to intelligence reports with Anakin Solo and her husband Luke. She is concerned over Thraken Cell Solo's growing power in Corellia, following his firing of Centerpoint Station. Her disease has been in remission for 3 months now. The Jedi, however, are now scattered and subject to much public scrutiny still. Mara and Anakin capture a Yuuzhan Vong agent on Coruscant, but the agent commits suicide before they have a chance to interrogate her. Jacen continues to worry about the state of the war, and is concerned Kip Duran's squadron may slowly be sliding to the dark side of the Force. He remains set on not using the Force in battle. Meanwhile, Savong La decides to attack Duro, targeting its trade routes and shipbuilding facilities. The New Republic has lost control of the Corellian Run, further angering the leaders of the Mid-Rim worlds, who believe the government only seeks to defend the core. The counselors are also concerned over the increasingly vigilante-esque actions of the Jedi. Luke says the Jedi are responsible to the Force, and not him alone. Mara later discovers she is pregnant. She only tells Luke, and asks him to keep it a secret from everyone else. Leia is attempting to facilitate the delivery of much-needed supplies to her refugees in the Gateway Dome. Meanwhile, Nom Anor has built an underground hideout on Duro and is continuing to cultivate a population of small creatures. They feed on synthplas, a native plant to Duro. Trader Senator Vicky Shesh attempts to negotiate a settlement between her home planet of Rhodia and the Yuuzhan Vong. She tells Savong La of Jacen Solo and how he has ceased to use the Force. Shesh offers to deliver Jacen as a hostage to the Yuuzhan Vong. Nom Anor's plan is unleashed. He has released thousands of moths, which will eat the synthplas plants and expose the refugees in Settlement 32 to Duro's toxic atmosphere. Jacen detects the danger and leads the evacuation to the Gateway Dome. He, Jaina, and Han are stunningly reunited with Leia. By now, they are all suspicious of Senator Shesh for being noticeably slow to deliver aid and supplies to the camps. Jacen decides to travel to the city of Buru to meet with Vice Director Brarun over the supply crisis. Mara, Luke, and Anakin arrive on Duro as well to see Brarun, disguised as bodyguards. Luke and Anakin infiltrate the building and see Jacen, who still refuses to use the Force. Mara, meanwhile, splits off and finds Leia, along with the healed Jaina, in her headquarters. The two Jedi investigate the underground tunnels with a scientist named Dr. Kree R, who is actually Nom Anor in disguise. Nom Anor reveals himself to a stunned Mara and tells her he has released Comswars in the air with them, likely reinfecting Mara and possibly her child. He flees and manages to escape, and Jaina and Mara are trapped in a cave-in. Jacen is led to guest quarters in the Vice Director's residence. Luke enters his room, still disguised. He urges Jacen to re-embrace the Force, to be careful about sacrificing his great gift in this crusade to get other Jedi to see the truth as he perceives it. Nonetheless, Jacen remains committed to his cause, fearing his vision of the galaxy falling to darkness. Numenor informs Savong Law of Jacen's detainment and Mara and Jaina's presumed deaths. The two Jedi, however, have managed to escape the cave-in. Mara informs Leia of Numenor's involvement on Duro and flies to Buru to find Luke and Anakin. They reunite, and Luke speculates the Yuuzhan Vong may want the refugees in orbit as a slave workforce. He believes an attack may be imminent, as the planet could serve as a staging area for an attack on Coruscant itself. It is revealed the Vice Director is connected to the Peace Brigade and seeks to deliver Jacen to the Yuuzhan Vong. Jaina breaks into Jacen's quarters and frees her brother. Leia and Han are frantically trying to evacuate everyone from Duro right as the Yuuzhan Vong attack begins. Luke, Mara, and Anakin take to the skies to battle the enemy. Savong Law touches down on the surface with Numenor and unleashes a pair of creatures that destroy the buildings around them. Leia reunites with Jaina and Jacen and leads them on a covert mission to sabotage the Yuuzhan Vong operations. Jacen still will not use the Force, and he feels he is reaching the critical moment in his vision. Leia becomes separated from Jacen and Jaina and is captured by the Yuuzhan Vong and Numenor himself. Jaina runs ahead to warn Han, Luke, and Mara, while Jacen doubles back to find their mother. Leia is taken to Savong Law and is imprisoned alongside Randa, a Hutt who has been covertly negotiating peace terms with the Yuuzhan Vong to save Tatooine. He was responsible for helping sell Jacen over to the Yuuzhan Vong. Leia is led out to be sacrificed, and Randa sacrifices himself to save her and buy time. Jacen bursts into the room and confronts Savong Law himself. In his head, he hears "Stand firm." He re-embraces the Force, gathers himself, and attacks. Jacen dives into the galaxy vortex he saw in his vision and battles off several Yuuzhan Vong warriors. Power flows through him, and he hurls massive objects at Savong Law with the Force. The War Master is thrown through a window to the ground below. He survives, but his foot is badly wounded. Jacen is able to escape with Leia and finds Jaina. They are picked up by Han and the Millennium Falcon. Meanwhile, the orbital cities of Duro are destroyed by the Yuuzhan Vong, who have conquered yet another planet. The Solo family is able to flee the planet safely. Luke and Mara also escape and learn their child will be a boy. Jacen finally feels at peace again with the Force, balanced between its inner power and outward strength. Anakin continues to show his prowess in battle, shooting down 12 Coral Skippers. Savong Law declares Jacen to be worthy of a powerful sacrifice to their gods. He sends a broadcast to the entire galaxy. "We will content ourselves with Duro, if you will help us make one final sacrifice. Give us your Jedi. Give me Jacen Solo alive, so that I may give him to the gods."